What were they looking for, and why did you think you were the best man for the job?
I don't know if I knew I was the best man for the job or not. I just was the guy lucky enough to be honored to have this opportunity, man, just because, I don't know, I just do my best wherever I'm at. And then when God sees fit for me to be called somewhere else, and that's when I pay attention to the signs, and the signs led me to USC, and I'm very grateful to be here.
What was that first workout like at USC? We heard that you had a lot of instruction for the guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was just about paying attention to the details, because I firmly believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so, like, when we told the guys the details matter, I think they got a great understanding of that after the first workout.
Part of your core value system is trust. How long did that process take between you and the players?
Well, that's the biggest piece of it. You know, you gotta. It boils down to two pieces: both trust and respect. Obviously, respect we give them out the gate. We respect them as young men because we want them to respect us in return. So that respect piece, that's an automatic. And then the trust piece is built over time. And so learning to earning those guys' trust, it started off with learning everybody's name. And so our staff, we made it a priority to learn as many of the guys' name on the roster prior to that first workout, just to where it wasn't, hey, you, make sure you do this. Now we addressing guys by their name to where they can understand how serious we were about earning their trust.
This is a team that really struggled in fourth quarters and gave up some leads on the road. Stepping in, how do you go about changing that? Or what sort of things do you need to instill to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Well, I'm not here to change anything. I'm here to enhance, what's already been done. And the thing is, obviously coming in the summertime isn't ideal from a strength and conditioning standpoint, but man, there was a solid foundation laid prior to my arrival. These guys have, gone to work and put in some great work, from January until July. They, put on 800 pounds of muscles and lost over 540 pounds of fat. And so, they didn't do that in just the summer months. So the foundation that was laid before I got here, was a great foundation. And all I'm here to do is help enhance it and take it to another level.
Was there a quote today? I heard you put up quotes and have the guys explain them.
Well, that's on the days that we lift. When they're in the weight room, we'll have the lift on the TV. Then we'll have a quote of the day every day on the TV, just to be able to pour into them outside of football. Just because, these parents, they trust us with developing their sons to become not just football players, but responsible young men. So the training side is one of them. Yeah, we're going to get them ready to go from a football standpoint. But if all they get from us is football after 2 or 3 or 4 years, then we failing the parents. When we tell them that we're going to turn them into men when they leave USC.
On Monday, Eric Henderson said that you're going to be a big part of helping this football program close out those close games. In what ways do you approach that?
I'm gonna have a Gatorade towel or Powerade towel on the sideline and in one hand and a Powerade bottle in the other hand. So it's really out of my hands at that point, But I firmly believe that you don't ever rise to the occasion; you fall to the level of your training. So we do our best to put these guys in the most strenuous, chaotic, positions in here within the training. But nothing can replicate football. And so that really is going to come down to how well they prepare and attack this fall camp.
During the summer, a couple of players were talking about how they had to earn the right to run the stairs inside the Coliseum. What were you looking for?
Because I went to the Coliseum for the first time, and when I walked in for the first time, I'm like, wow, it just took my breath away. And so we're scouting out places to run or whatever, because we're gonna run stairs on Friday. We're gonna have RIP leg day back in the weight room, I don't know, man, just thinking back to the days when we trained, back when I was a player like that. I remember just that gave us that edge. And so walking into the college, I'm like, wow, this is such a sacred place, man. I don't want to disrespect it by coming in here before we ready. So I want to make sure that we running the steps outside to where we earn the right to go in there and represent USC when we set foot in the college.
Can you tell us about the 2 assistants you've hired and what they bring?
Absolutely, man. They were home run hires first of all, so y'all got the cameras on me when they're really the superstars behind the scenes. Coach Lonnie Maddox, he was with me at Kansas State for the last year. He's a guy that has been a director for most of his career, so when he came to K-State to join our staff there, he did an outstanding job of learning what it was as far as the expectations and the culture, and he was a perfect fit. So when God blessed us with this opportunity to come out here, I knew who that number 1 guy was going to be. no questions asked. And so I remember being on the road, we were both on vacation and calling them and talking about the opportunity. And so, man, and so that right there, Hires, has been just a phenomenal one, just because he's no nonsense. You know, it's black and white. It's no gray area, and so like he's as consistent gets. And then with Coach Kerry Thompson, he came to us from Alabama State. He too has been a director for most of his career. So having those two pieces of guys that have been head guys, they see what I see. They see the big picture, but now those guys can focus in on the details to where I can focus on the overall program.
You mentioned just taking over when you did. What's the toughest part about just having such a short runway ahead of the season for a strength and conditioning coach?
The toughest challenge? I mean, there's challenges every day. Everything's a challenge. Doing these interviews are a challenge. You know, I think of it as like, you know, in life, we don't, you know, your goal isn't to get rid of problems. Your goal is to upgrade your problems. And so if I'm dealing with the same problems I dealt with a year ago or 5 years ago, then that's the challenge. You know, so I welcome these challenges because USC is outside of my comfort zone. You know, California is outside of my comfort zone. I'm from the South. And so with that being said, man, you can only grow outside of your comfort zone. We tell these kids that all the time, man, but I firmly believe that. So these challenges, man, I welcome them with a smile on my face because, you know, that's why we're here.
Moving from what might be perceived as a developmental program at Kansas State to like a blue chip program at USC, are there adjustments you need to make, or is it business as usual?
The standard is the standard, if that's what you're asking me. So, you know, obviously I'm not going to take what we did at Kansas State and do exactly what we did here. It's just, for example, if you went to the eye doctor and told the eye doctor you can't see, he took off his glasses and gave them to you, and then you still can't see, you probably see worse at that point. So in order to prescribe, you know, what USC needs, I need to come in and sit back and be a learner of what USC has. And so coming in and seeking first to understand has really been my role these first 8 weeks, learning who we have in that locker room, learning what their capabilities are, just to where I can prescribe the right program. You know, and any strength and conditioning professional that doesn't do it that way, nothing against them, but I prefer to do it that way.
Who's your role model, mentor that kind of led you down this path?
I'm sorry?
Who's been your role model, your mentor that led you down this path?
Man, there's been several. There's been several. Too many to name. First, I'll start off with Rob Glass at Oklahoma State. You know, he's a guy I played under and actually, you know, got an opportunity to work under, you know, right out of college, and I came back to work for him as a top assistant. So he's had a tremendous impact on my development as a coach. But there's been several coaches along the way, from Torrey Beckton to Benny Wiley to Big John Williams to the list goes on and on of guys that I've looked up to in this profession and gotten the opportunity to just learn from them. You know, just because I wouldn't be here without those guys.
Who are some of the guys that have taken on a leadership role in the weight room for you, player-wise?
Oh man, there's been too many to name. And that's what's been unique about this team. I know that sounds cliche, but no one is above anyone else in this program. And that's really the biggest thing. It's a classless society. So if a guy's doing the right things, you know, he's working his tail off, he's pushing his brothers, and a lot of times those guys are going to have the opportunity to speak after the end of our lift. So it's gotten to the point now to where we have a leadership council. I don't appoint a guy to come up and call us up at the end of the lift. Hey, leadership, who are we calling it up on today? And those guys step up and say, hey, this guy's done an outstanding job, whether he came in from high school or he transferred from a different institution. We've been seeing him work. Man, we're going to call it up on our brother today. And so, like I said, that piece is unique. That piece is unique, and so I can't single out one or two people just because it's been a collective effort of everybody doing the right thing. They're going to step up, and everybody's going to listen to them.
Let's do one more.
That first day that you took over, do you remember what your message was to the team when you first get the chance to talk to them?
Man, just how you do one thing is how you do everything, you know. So our workout was supposed to be, we were supposed to do some half gassers that day, but we didn't make it to them. We didn't make it for the simple reason that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that workout was a warm-up, learning the standard when it comes to how we warm up for 1 full hour. Then we obviously, because of CARA and compliance, we had to cut the workout at that point. So, but I think they got the message because they responded well the next day.
Thank you, Coach Carroll.
Thank you.